Hi, my name is Adam Walker. I am the first British person to swim the toughest 7 ocean swims in the world, known as Ocean 7. After I swam the English Channel, I had a ruptured bicep tendon and I was advised not to swim again by my surgeon. I ended up having 3 operations and I wanted to continue the sport that I loved. So I created a new way of swimming front crawl that took pressure off the shoulder in order to continue the sport I loved. Now, I didn't know how successful it would be until I started dissecting the stroke. And as a result of that, it got me across 6 more channel swims, including 17 hours non-stop from Molokai to Oahu, island to island in Hawaii. Now, how do you make something super efficient in water, which is obviously very resistant? Well, I realised that I was swimming very flat in the water, my eyes were forward, my arms were very high, and my hips were sinking. Now, as a result of that inefficiency, I had to pull with a high catch. Now, that took pressure on my shoulders and my neck, so my neck started to be very painful as a result of that. I also had to lift my arm way overhead, which also hurt my neck. It's been proven the biggest creator of injury in swimming is lifting your arm overhead and a high catch. So I knew I had to get rid of that in order to protect the shoulder. So I thought, how do you avoid not lifting the arm overhead? And this is where rotation came into it. Now, rotation's been around for a long time, but the level of rotation that was required, I realised, was 90 degrees to 90 degrees. So getting on the side, because when I'm on my side, my shoulder is actually out of the water. So because it's out of the water, I've got a natural high elbow. So none of this zipping up or lifting the arm overhead that you might have heard before. I actually sweep around the side, but I have to get this natural high elbow and the shoulder out the water in order to sweep low in a semicircle. And actually, after I pull, I actually do a low semicircle sweep. So although the arm looks high here, as I pull to the groin, I sweep low and around, as I say, in this semicircle motion. And that works with the body's natural joint. So it doesn't compress the shoulder joint. So that was the first thing. The other thing that I knew I needed to do to avoid pain was to stop spearing or driving my arm into the water. So I thought, well, how do I do that? Then I thought about the hips. I thought, if I can drop the hips into the water first, then the arm should go and it will follow. But if I drive the arm into the water, then I put my shoulder in a vulnerable position. It's a ball and socket joint. And when I pull, that's where the pain happens. So I thought, how do I get my hips to send the arm down into the water? And just by thinking about the hips, it wasn't working. So that's when I started using the feet as a form of rotation. So every time I went to enter the water with a hand like you see here, I would roll my feet and that would activate the hips first as long as I kept the head still. That was very important. So I had to learn a series of drills in order to keep the head still to rotate from side to side, which is why I launched Ocean Walker Vimeo, my online series. If you look at Ocean Walker Vimeo, I have 28 videos at the moment, 2.5 hours of footage, and you subscribe to that and you can see lots of different pieces to the stroke and I take you through the whole process. So it's well worth checking out. But in order to get that smoothness, once I dropped that arm into the water, I knew I had to get a certain angle so my elbow didn't splash the water. So you see there's not a lot coming off the elbow here. So that angle was very important. So I had that natural high elbow, then my feet rolled the arm into the water. And when my elbow's now underwater with my arm pointing downwards, then it means that there's no splash on the elbow and I can finesse it in. Then what I did as I rolled in, I then did a kick, which you see this 2-beat flick. So I call it a flick as opposed to a kick from the knee. It's like kicking your sock off. So I roll the feet into the middle, I kick the hip across and pull, therefore only pulling on my side. Now this creates a very smooth stroke, gets you a big glide, saves lots of energy and is super fast. So it means you can swim longer, faster, is efficient, and it looks very smooth because I'm guiding that arm into the water. It's not rushed. There's no driving of the arm to reiterate. It's just dropped into the water via the feet. So I'm actually swimming from feet upwards. We were taught to go from chest downwards. But if you go from feet upwards, you finesse that arm in, you activate the hip. So it's basically hip initiated, which is only like other sports such as boxing, stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, shot put, discus, climbing, running. These all come from the hip. So I wondered why we use chest and shoulders when all these other sports are from the hip. Look at kayaking, for example. Kayaking, if you Google it, it says, put the paddle in the water, bring the hips back, and the paddle will follow the hips. If you put the paddle in the water and you use your chest, it can create injury and it's not as powerful. So I thought, why is swimming different? Why can't you put your arm in the water, use the hips, and allow the arm to follow the hips, and therefore it takes pressure off the shoulder and you generate more power? So I'm only using the principles of the sports that we do on land in order to generate that power. But the great thing is, by rotating on my side, I pull less body mass through the water. I have a natural high elbow to sweep around the side. I'm more efficient. I don't think anyone would argue by being on your side you have less body mass pulled through the water. It's only like a boat. We make a boat faster by making it long and lean. We don't make it small and wide. And as a result of that, it created a lot of speed because that rotation created momentum. Momentum created glide. Think of a hammer throw. They spin around lots of times to throw the hammer. Shot put, same, using the back hip. Boxing, they use the hips. Blocking in martial arts. So all the power is coming from the hips. So water should not make a difference to it. So that's really important to look at the rotation. But how do we do the rotation? This is where the ocean walker technique is very different, because I'm not driving or spearing the chest in. The feet drop that arm into the water, therefore taking pressure off the shoulder, but generates pure hip power, and it's not interfered from a chest-driven stroke. So in my view, if it's hip initiated, the hip has to do the work and the chest follows the hips. So that's really important. As I say, if you want to check out Ocean Walker Vimeo, I take you through the whole series of how to do it. It's online. You can subscribe. You can cancel anytime. I add videos every month. I hope that helps. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you. Take care.